evening. Good evening. Oh, it is on. Okay. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of Berkeley Heights, New Providence, and Summit, I'm pleased to welcome you to this forum. My name is Marlene Sincaglia, and I will be your host this evening. The League of Women Voters of New Jersey is a nonpartisan political organization, encourages informed and active participation in government, and works to increase understanding of major public policy issues and influences public policy through education and advocacy. Elections and voting are core concerns for the League of Women Voters. Year in and year out, leagues are committed to providing fact-based information about issues and positions candidates take on those issues to help voters make their own decisions and participate in the process. Conducting forums like this is one of the ways we encourage informed and active participation in government, and your participation today helps us carry out our mission. I want to state that TV 35 will be streaming this proceeding, and there will also be a rebroadcast on public access channels throughout Union County. As a courtesy to the candidates, please turn off all cell phones and other electronic devices now. Please refrain from taking photographs during the debate. Tonight, we have the candidates running for Union County office. Originally, this was going to be a two-part program. The first part was going to deal with the county clerk. Unfortunately, Joseph Elborg, who is the Republican candidate, was not able to attend this evening, but I do want to introduce Ms. Joanne Rajapi, who is here this evening. She's the Democratic incumbent. League of Women Voter rules state that unless there's an opponent there present to have a debate, there is no debate. So unfortunately, Ms. Rajapi will not be able to speak this evening. County government provides many services for more than 539,000 residents and 21 municipalities in Union County. Our county operates 36 parks, maintains more than 176 miles of roads, and provides services to senior citizens and individuals in need. County government also provides human services programs, as well as homeland security and public safety to its residents. Part 2 of tonight's program deals with the candidates running for the Board of Chosen Freeholders. At this time, I would like to introduce our moderator, Ms. Terry Thompson. As per league practice, she is not from Union County. She is a league-trained moderator. And Ms. Thompson will introduce the candidates and outline the format for this evening. Thank you.
Is this on? Yes. Good. Okay. Before, a few minutes ago, we drew, the gentlemen candidates drew numbers for the order in which they would make their opening statements, which they will do in just a minute. We will then proceed to questions which will be put to them by one of the two journalists, Patrick Bober and Mike Shapiro, down at the end there, and they will each have a chance to answer each question, but they won't be in the same, they won't be speaking in the same order. In other words, the order of their speaking will rotate through the evening. And let's see, I guess that's, I would strongly prefer that there be no questions of an insulting or personal nature, but you know, I'll rephrase them if they are. All right, and now we will start with our opening statements, and you have 3 minutes each. And, well, it said 3 on what you sent me. Sorry.
Sure.
Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. You gentlemen are being shortchanged. You get 2 minutes each. And as we drew the numbers, we will start with Mr. Fortunato.
On behalf of my colleagues, Renee Dierkes and Joe Bonilla, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for arranging this tonight, and I'd like to thank the local source and Tap Into for being here, as well as the freeholders for attending, and you all for attending also. So my name is Rich Fortunato. I've lived in Scotch Plains with my wife and 3 adult sons since 1992. I spent 26 years working at a Midtown Manhattan law firm doing corporate and commercial and bank lending work. I have a lot of experience there as a result with financial statements, cash flow statements, financial and legal documents. I'm not a politician, however. I've never run for public office before. But I've stepped forward in this case to run because I think Union County can be a much better place for my children and hopefully my grandchildren to live in than it currently is. There are a few things which concern me about the way Union County is being run by the current Freeholder Board. County taxes have increased dramatically since 2000. They've gone up by more than twice the rate of inflation in that period. Of the 3,100 counties in the United States, Union County is the 7th most highly taxed county in the country. Not the state, the country. As we've gone out on the trail knocking on doors, we've met a number of residents, especially seniors, who are packing up and leaving the county because their real estate taxes are too high. Spending of our money by the freeholders has increased by more than 80% since 2000. Again, much more than the rate of inflation. We need to control county spending. Because of the freeholders, county residents now owe more than $600 million in debt as of the end of last year. The debt has greatly increased over the last few years. It's to the point now where debt service this year is more than $66 million. That's just too much, and it's likely to go up after this year. We've had one-party rule on the Freeholder Board for almost 20 years, and that's not good for the county. No matter what political party you belong to, I hope you'd agree that it is imperative that we have other representation on the Board of Freeholders so that other views get discussed, questions get asked, and hopefully answered. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bergen.
Thank you. I'd like also to thank the League of Women Voters for inviting us here tonight and the public for attending. And in particular, Ms. Thompson, thank you for coming out here from beautiful Somerset County. I'm Bruce Bergen, and I'm running for Freeholder with my Column B Democratic colleagues. I was born and raised in Cranford. I've been married for more than 30 years, and we raised our 2 children in Springfield, where we still live. I'm an attorney with an office right across the street here in Cranford. I'm proud to be part of the Union County Democratic team as we move forward with our programs to continue to improve our quality of life, help our families, and rebuild our infrastructure. This past year, we initiated the Infrastructure Grant Program, which awarded $1.5 million to all 21 municipalities in the county to help fund a wide variety of improvements and to spur economic development in an area where state assistance has been lagging. We are working with our mayors and the Rahway Valley Rail Coalition to make a complete one-seat ride program to New York a reality. Making direct access available to riders will not only help our commuters, but will create a tremendous benefit for all our residents by increasing property values. We are also working with the municipalities along the Rahway River to continue the progress of the Army Corps of Engineers flood control project. We have developed a series of initiatives to assist our working families, and we are working hard to help our seniors, more than 17,000 strong in Union County, through programs such as Senior Scholars, paratransit rides, Meals on Wheels, and the Congregate Meal Program. The Democratic Freeholder team on Column B, along with County Clerk Joanne Rajapi, has a cohesive plan that leaves no one behind, and we are working hard to implement that plan. Please give us your support on November 3rd. Thank you very much.
Mr. Dierkes.
Good evening. My name is Renee Dierkes. I moved into Union County in 1980. I've lived in various communities. I started off in Elizabeth, and for the last 16 years, I've been living in Mountainside. I'm running for Freeholder because I believe the Democratic machine has let spending get way out of control. And that spending has caused taxes to become astronomical. The Democrat machine has been there for almost 20 years. And during that time period, taxes have gone up substantially more than incomes, more than inflation, more than property values, and even higher than the stock market. Now, they will tell you, look at all the great things we've done for Union County, as you've so heard. But I tell you, give me your credit card, and I'll do great things for you also. They will also tell you, we're working for the working class, the middle class. Now, I've been walking in communities like Hillside, Elizabeth, Rahway. Met a lady in Rahway, and she said to me, it's a profound story, she said to me, I bought my house 20 years ago, about the same time they took office, and I was so concerned about that $800 a month mortgage. I had to live within my means. I had to do everything I could strive to do to pay that mortgage. But I found something very interesting. During that time period, my income only went up this much, but my taxes went up that much. I became poorer during that period of time. How is that fair to that lady? She lived within her means. Why can't they keep spending under control so that middle class and working people can find Union County a place that is affordable to live? Thank you.
Mr. Jallo?
Thank you. Good evening. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for inviting us to speak tonight and the people of Union County for watching. I'm Mohammed Jallo, and I'm the chairman of the Union County Board of Chosen Freeholders, and I'm running on the Column B Democratic team. I'm a lifelong resident of Union County who grew up in Roselle, and contrary to what my opponent has just said, I haven't been in office for 20 years. I attended Syracuse University for undergraduate studies. I obtained my law degree from Rutgers University in Newark, and I'm a practicing attorney out of Linden, New Jersey. This year, I'm proud to be part of a freeholder team that has made key investments in education and economic developments all throughout the county. We began by establishing a new location for Union County College in Rahway, while the college has continued to expand their campuses in Cranford and Plainfield. We also added College Readiness Now. These are courses to ensure our high school juniors are prepared for college. We continued our Freeholder Scholar Program, which offers scholarships to qualified teens. We have fully funded our vocational technical schools, which were ranked amongst the best in the nation. We have also worked hard to provide residents with new jobs. The county's Workforce Innovation Center has partnered with 20 regional employers to fill nearly 500 new jobs. Okay. Can you hear me now? All right. With 500 new jobs, with hundreds more on the way. In fact, county businesses have worked to create nearly 1,000 new positions that we are attempting to fill. These are just a few of the things we're doing to improve the overall quality of life here in Union County. When we work as a team, with our many different partners, there is strength. And great things can be achieved in Union County with that strength. So I thank you all for your support, and I encourage you to come out and vote on Tuesday, November 3rd for the Democratic team on Column B. Thank you.
Mr. Mirabella?
Yes, thank you very much. I'd like to also thank the League of Women Voters for having us here tonight in this debate, the press for asking questions later on, and the residents who are here and those watching on TV. My name's Al Mirabella. I was born in Elizabeth and raised in Roselle Park. I live now in Fanwood with my wife Phyllis, my son Alex, and my daughter Michaela. I have a degree in economics from Hobart College, and I proudly serve as the township manager for Scotch Plains. Governing in these times requires discipline and common sense. Through prudent financial management, the Freeholder Board has worked to maintain fiscal responsibility with one of the highest bond ratings possible. At the same time, we've also made significant strides to partner with our communities to share services. Over the past decade, the County Freeholder Board has worked to create invaluable shared services opportunities in departments like public safety, public works, human services that save taxpayers millions of dollars and municipalities time and effort. Life-saving innovations such as countywide EMS and county emergency dispatch services are two great examples of this. EMS was created several years ago to fill a gap in service during particularly daytime hours, but throughout the evening. And it's had 4 years of growth. The program is not only self-sustaining, but has received statewide awards from the Department of Health as the outstanding EMS program. The county police dispatch program serves 11 governmental agencies and Robert Wood Johnson Hospital. The dispatch service not only is the only accredited program in the state. Tonight you'll hear from both sides. Republicans are sure to criticize, but lack a plan, and the Column B Democratic team that has a plan, put that plan into action, and gets results. On November 3rd, the choice is clear. Please support the Union County Democratic team on Column B. Thank you.
Mr. Panilla.
Thank you. My name is Joseph Bonilla. I am a resident of Union Township since 2005. Before then, I lived in Irvington. I haven't been in Union County all my life. I bring over 10 years of police officer experience, and before law enforcement, I was a workers' compensation claims adjuster and worked over 10 years with major insurance companies, dealing with litigation, negotiation of settlements, preparing legal documents and contracts. Currently, I work as a security professional, serving as a physical security and executive protection. This is the first time I'm running for office. I've never been a candidate before. I am not a politician. I decided to run because I'm concerned of the citizens and the next generation citizens. The Union County Freeholder Board has a one-party board for almost 20 years and have raised taxes every single year. The budget has skyrocketed to $500 million, $492 million to be exact, because of poor management and careless spending. This has made Union County unlivable, with an enormous impact on real estate, being 5,100 foreclosures in Union County, making it number 4 in the state. People are facing financial hardship due to high taxes, especially for senior citizens who are on fixed incomes. People have completely lost confidence in the Freeholder Board. For example, the Rahway River Park Stadium, people came to show their concerns. People came to show their concerns. They were turned away. They were escorted out of meetings. I would say that is the wrong way to do government. They should change the name from Rahway to a raw deal, because that's what they're getting. We want to be out there talking to the people about their concerns, and with talking to them, we can find solutions. I ask that the people of Union County come out November 3rd, column A, vote Republican, and let's get these high taxes under control.
Thank you. It's going to be irresistible not to refer to the two reporters, or at least for those of us of my generation who may remember the Spencer Tracy movie as Pat and Mike. But have you decided which of you is going to ask the first question?
I think I'm going to ask the first one.
Okay, go ahead. We will start this round of answers with Mr. Bergen.
Okay, so this is a question for everybody. As we just heard, opposition to proposed changes in the Rahway River Park has formed, and they cite multiple economic, environmental, and quality of life issues. So, two-part question. Are you for or against the changes proposed for Rahway River Park? And if you are for the changes, how do you respond to the opposition that has formed?
Thank you. First of all, I just want to respond to something that was said during the opening. There has been no member of the public who asked a question, who came to our meeting and asked a question or made a comment concerning the Rahway River Park. We have not escorted anybody out of a meeting. That just isn't true. Our Freeholder Board has public meetings, and we take comments from members of the public as long as they wish to speak, and they address us on topic and without personal attacks. I am for the Rahway River Park. I've been out there, I've looked at the site. This is an existing track and an existing football field which is being refurbished. It is going to not increase the footprint into the open space of that park at all. I believe there have been some misstatements of fact that have become accepted as true, but they are not. If I believe for a moment that refurbishing this field and track would ruin that park, I would never support it. But thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dierkes.
My colleagues and I, Rich and Joe, we've been to Rawway. We've talked to a number of residents, and almost every single resident we spoke to had concerns about the park. Their first concern was the taxes. We've had tax increases that have gone up substantially greater than people's incomes. And that is a big concern to people, and they don't want to see more spending without some cuts someplace. The second concern they had about that park was environmental. They're concerned about how it will impact the animals. They're concerned about what type of noise that will come from there, but they're concerned. My feeling is you first have to look at the income size here. Union County is becoming very unaffordable to middle-class families. Every time we spend money on another project, we make it more and more difficult for residents to live here in this county. So I feel it's imperative that we look at that first.
Mr. Jallow?
Thank you. Well, first, what I want to say to that is that I really urge the residents, and I want everyone to understand that the turf project at Rawway Field is not a nuance. It's not something brand new that was decided for just Rawway. This is a project that we've been doing with all of our parks. We've refurbished the field at Warnaco in very much the same way. We've done the field at Phil Rizzuto Park. We've done the park in Wheeler Park, and we've done them the same way so that all the residents of Union County can enjoy these new facilities. Right? That's what the freeholders' jobs are to do, to make opportunities for people, amongst other things, for recreation, and to make Union County a place that people want to live. And these types of parks that we're building here, these turf fields, are great for our entire community, and we've been doing it all over the place. I don't see why we wouldn't continue doing it in Rawway. So in answer to your question, yes, I am very much in support of it.
Mr. Mirabella?
Yes, thank you. I'm also in favor of the improved facility at Rawway River Park. And there's been some talk about keeping that as open space, and why are we disturbing the current environment there? There's an existing field there with a track. This is just, in my mind, an improvement, as Chairman Jallow said, an ongoing series of improvements throughout our park system. And, actually, recreation and active recreation was a priority back to the Olmsted plan put forth in 1925, when they stated that a football field and a track facility would be part of the original plan. So this is very consistent with the original plan laid out by the Olmsted brothers back in the 20s, and we're following through that tradition, creating opportunity and a safe facility for kids to play. I think that's the priority here.
Mr. Bonilla?
Through all the comments here just now, I did not hear at all. We spoke to residents and took their concerns or their issues with this park. I love football, but I'm against the park because it's just more spending, and more spending, that means increases in taxes. I think the ballpark should actually be deflated.
All right, Mr. Fortunato.
Well, I too like football, at least watching it. But as was said, we've knocked on a number of doors in Rawway, and every single citizen that we talked to who expressed an opinion about the park expressed a negative opinion. From my point of view, what seems quite apparent to me is that the Freeholder Board, while having good intentions, and maybe the park's a good idea, but we have, as I understand it, 6,000 people who have signed a petition against this project. I don't understand the rush unless there's a rush to spend money for some reason. So I would not go forward with this park at this point. I would wait and try to build some more support among the residents of the area.
Okay, Patrick, your question.
Okay.
Recent general elections would appear to show at least 1/3 of the county votes Republican, if not more. Yet all 9 freeholder seats have been held by Democrats for 20 years. As Democrat incumbents and as Republican challengers, what do you say to critics who think one-party rule is not representative of the county as a whole? And do you think switching to a ward system for elections is a good idea for Union County, and why?
Mr. Dirkus, you get to start this one.
It's funny you should ask that question. My wife she was born in Beijing, China, which is a one-party rule country. And she came to this country when she was 26 years old, and guess what? She's back in a one-party county. Now, there's some great things about having one party. You get things done very quickly. So when I'm in Beijing, it's amazing to see how fast things go up and how much projects are built. But if you're in Beijing and you want to get a breath of fresh air, you better be ready to drive 500 miles, because that's how long it's going to take to get a breath of fresh air. The pollution is unbelievable. It's worse than what you've heard. I've been there. I've stayed at my in-laws' homes. The second thing I would say about the ward thing, my feeling is on that ward, that would increase representation, it would create accountability, and I don't agree with this one-size-fits-all. I would also say to you, let's go back to the two-party system. I'm sorry.
All right, Mr. Joe.
Thank you. Well, let me first start by saying every time I get asked that question, or that question is a question here at this debate, you know, I can't help but be a little bit offended by the inherent nature of that question, right? We are elected as a board by the residents of Union County. And if the residents of Union County believe that the Democratic Party's ideals are consistent with their ideals, then they should be able to vote in all Democrats if that's how they see fit. Inherent in that idea of districting freeholders is to silence the urban areas in this town. And I find that offensive, and I have a problem with that every time someone mentions it. That's all.
Mr. Mirabella.
Yes, thank you. So this does come up when parties typically lose a series of elections, and it's come up many times over the years, and it just doesn't seem to me that that's the will of the people or the state legislature who would have to change that. So for me, it's always interesting to hear that, and I find it very curious that Mr. Dirks would equate Union County to China. It's just very interesting that you draw that kind of parallel, and very frustrating for me to hear that. But you know, to take the vote away from the people, it just doesn't make sense, and I think that's it's nonsense.
Mr. Bonilla?
The one-party government is a very bad government. It's not good for the people. It's one party, quick negotiations, quick settlements, and a lot of overspending with closed-door meetings. Quickly, and talking about districts as well, I believe that districts should be in the county, because now you have accountability for each individual freeholder, and you're more tied with the community as well.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Fortunato.
With all respect to the views of the freeholders, in my opinion, the problem with the one-party rule that we've got here is that it promotes partisanship on the Freeholder Board. Decisions are made not because necessarily what's good for the residents, although many decisions are good for the residents, I'll grant that. But inevitably, partisan politics ends up playing a bigger and bigger role as more and more time passes with no one from the opposition asking questions. And in terms of the district voting, I'll point out, everyone knows, obviously, the House of Representatives is apportioned based on population. The Senate is more or less apportioned based on, not population, but geographical boundaries. The state legislature is apportioned based on the Assembly by population and the Senate by geographical boundaries. Why can't Union County be doing the same thing at the Freeholder Board?
Can I respond to Mr. Burton?
What did you say about, did you make any rules about rebuttals?
I didn't get a chance.
No, I know you haven't. Did we allow them? Yeah. All right, 15 seconds.
No, I think.
Go ahead. After Mr. Bergen, you can have 15 seconds to rebut.
The reason we don't have districts is because that's not how the law is set up. And in fact, if I'm correct, only 2 counties in New Jersey have districts as opposed to elected at large. Clearly, Mr. Bonilla has no idea how this government runs because there are no decisions made in closed-door sessions. That's illegal. They're made in open, public meetings as required by law. I also would point out the Freeholder Board that sits up there now is diverse as to location of where they come from in the county, as to gender, as to religion, as to ethnicity, and we have a very diverse board that discusses issues and makes decisions based on what's best for this county. To equate us with a communist government that is not elected, I find very insulting. We are elected by the people of Union County, and to equate us with China is outrageous, quite frankly. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Dierkes, 15 seconds.
Well, we all know that one party means that things can be pushed in very quickly, changes can happen very quickly without everybody's views being heard. And that's why I was equating it with China. Yes, we have a democratic system here, but if you have one party, you're only hearing one side. You really need 2 sides.
Thank you.
Madam Moderator, I have one other thing to add, too. Then I would ask Mr. Dirks, who's from Mountainside, what about one-party rule in Mountainside, sir? How do you answer that question? Silly, right?
All right.
Think about
it. This question is over.
Can I get rebuttal as well?
Well, I think you guys have sort of made your point.
Okay.
Pretty thorough. Okay, Mike, another question.
Sure.
And we'll start this one, excuse me. We're going to start this with you, Mr. Jallow.
Thank you.
To remind the order.
We in your introductory statements, you mentioned a little bit about the one-seat ride. The question is, do you support the one-seat ride? And if so, what can you do to help reignite it so that it actually gets done?
Oh, absolutely. One-seat ride into New York City is a fantastic thing for our county. One of the reasons why I live where I live in Union is because my wife was attending dental school in New York and would commute back and forth from New York to Union every day. As she was in New York, she would have conversations with a host of people who were paying, even higher taxes and even higher amounts to live in New York City, who would love to live right on the line, right here in Union County and in Union and all these towns that are right on the line. We're continuing to have conversations to do what we can to make sure that the one-seat ride continues and that we can hopefully expand it to benefit our residents.
Mr. Mirabella?
Yeah. Obviously, I'm in favor of this. I think it coincides with the 2 other rail lines that go into New York City and that depart out of the Rollway and in Summit area. But, I've been a very active member of the Raritan Valley Line Coalition, been to meetings. I haven't seen any of my opponents at these meetings. Haven't heard them talk about one-seat ride or the importance of transportation in Union County. But obviously, it's important. It's something we've been pushing for. We've had many freeholders attend in conjunction with the freeholders in Somerset County, local mayors that are participating, and it makes good economic sense. It's great for our commuters, and it's good for Union County, so I'm obviously in favor of it.
Mr. Bonilla.
I don't know much about the one-seat ride. I do know that transportation is very important, and Union County sits right by New York City, which is a great location, and the one-seat ride to New York City, so that way people can go out of Union County, come back, and it sounds like a good plan, and that's pretty much all I know about the one seat going to New York.
Okay. Mr. Fortunato.
Yeah, I spent quite a period of time commuting into Manhattan, partly sometimes from Fanwood, but more often actually from Broadway, exactly because of the one-seat ride problem. So clearly I'm in favor of it. It's actually a good example of something that the county government should be doing for its residents. That's not something that makes sense for towns on an individual basis to do, but it certainly makes sense for the county, sort of as an amalgam of the 21 municipalities in the county, to support that. I'm not sure whether or how much money was spent on that, but it's perfectly appropriate for the freeholders and other people in county government to try to push New Jersey Transit to set that up. So I'm all for it as well.
Mr. Berger.
Thank you. I am, of course, in favor of the one-seat ride, and I've been to many of the coalition meetings over the last 3 years to help push that, to put pressure on where pressure is needed to try and get that going. Unfortunately, one of the biggest problems we have is the lack of the state cooperating, and in particular our governor, canceling the rail tunnel that was planned to be started a few years ago. Until a new rail tunnel is built under the Hudson River, it will be impossible to be sure that any commuter from New Jersey is going to have a clear commute to New York without a problem. And that is money that must come from the state. And unfortunately, we have not had the leadership at the state level to give Union County the opportunity to get the one-seat ride that our residents deserve. Thank you.
Mr. Dierkes?
Of course, I would be in support of the one-seat ride. Anything that makes life for the residents of Union County easier is a great idea. But more importantly, my biggest concern is that woman that I met in Rahway, the woman whose income has gone up this much, but her taxes have gone up that much. That's what's hurting the residents of Union County. Their taxes, their real estate taxes, are going up substantially greater than their incomes. And that's what we have to work on. That's what this Freeholder Board has to work on. And the best way to work on that is to control spending. If we get spending under control, we can get taxes under control. But instead, for the last 20 years, we've had spending out of control, and this has led people in Union County to be poor because they're paying more in real estate taxes and their incomes are not rising at the same level as their real estate taxes have been rising for the last 20 years.
Thank you. Mr. Marabella, you're going to be the first on the next question. Patrick?
Well, I'll continue talking about quality of life in Union County. Chairman Jala's initiatives for the last year was titled Investing in Union County, and one of its goals focused on county residents finding needed jobs and getting job training. Moving forward, does the county intend to help people who are currently employed feel safe in their current jobs? Does the county have any plans for supporting local initiatives for mandatory paid time off, paid sick leave, paid maternity leave, and similar goals? Would the Republicans be exploring these initiatives should they be elected?
Thank you. Yeah. So a trademark of this Democratic Freeholder Board has been our economic development policies and how we've helped our communities and partner with them. And obviously, jobs are number one as far as I'm concerned. The chairman set out an ambitious set of initiatives this year, among them being even more dedication to our workforce investment board and finding jobs, partnering with local businesses to provide job training, to provide job credits and salary credits to employers who hire employees with skill sets. So it's really important, I think, to invest and continue our focus on jobs and job training in Union County. Regarding benefits, we have a full slate of benefits for our employees. I'd be interested in expanding those benefits for employees and figuring out how best to move forward with that. Thank you.
Mr. Bonilla?
Jobs in Union County, high taxes kill jobs. The county right now is at 11% poverty level. Someone with basic knowledge of economics knows they can't bring a business into the number 7 county in the U.S. for property taxes. The taxes are very high. Before we can actually begin creating jobs, job placements, training for jobs, and giving individuals the tools to go out there and be employed, we need to focus on lowering or at least control spending. It's completely out of control. Taxes are high, and we need to help these businesses control the taxes so we can keep the people of the county employed.
Okay. Mr. Fortunato.
Well, I agree. It is appropriate for county government to try to take some actions to foster economic development, no doubt about that. But I think the problem we've got here in Union County at this point is, as Mr. Bonilla has said, we've got businesses afraid to start up here. We have people moving out because our taxes are the 7th highest in the country. I assume we're talking about private sector jobs here and not public sector jobs. From my point of view, it's the taxes and the regulation that make a difference, but it's also if we start to introduce at the county level paid sick leave, paid maternity leave, some of the other proposals and initiatives you mentioned, if those are put in place only in Union County but not in neighboring counties, I think the obvious effect would be you may very well drive more business away from Union County. If that's something the population wants to do, it ought to be done on a state basis.
Mr. Bergen.
Thank you. Economic development, improving wages in this county, job training, job creation have been things that the Freeholder Board has been doing for many years. Under Chairman Jallo in the past year, as he noted, we've expanded those programs. And we are seeing results. We need to continue to offer these programs to our citizens so that when jobs are created, we have citizens who are trained to take those jobs, as well as to continue to work with businesses to bring more jobs into the county. When Whole Foods, which unfortunately now announces they're laying off workers, but when they opened up in Clark, they came to the County of Union to find workers to put into that store. And all of the workers that they hired came, or many of them came, through a program run by the county, which had qualified workers available for them to hire, not only for that store, but for other stores in the area. Thank you.
Mr. Dirkus?
I would remind everybody that governments don't create jobs. People create jobs. Apple was not created by the government. Google was not created by the government. Tesla was not created by the government. Amazon was not created by the government. Amazon didn't exist a little over 20 years ago. Today it employs over 120,000 people. What businesses do is they look for places where there's nice infrastructure and where taxes are reasonable. That's what they do. They look for that. And the reason, Union County has a fantastic infrastructure. We have ports, we have an airport, we have trains. There should be thousands of reasons for businesses to come here. What's stopping businesses from coming here is the ever-escalating higher and higher taxes. That's what's causing the problems for Union County.
Joe?
Thank you. Well, first let me say I'm very proud of what we've been able to do in Union County. And one thing so far that I have agreed with my adversary is that certainly government doesn't create the jobs people do. And so let me explain to you what government has done and what Union County government has done for you. We've advertised, we've promoted, and we've brought these businesses to the table, these employers to the table. These employers who would have hired people from other counties and hired people from other towns, we've invited them right here to Union County to hire Union County residents by creating opportunities for our Union County residents to develop soft skills and training so that when they go to work for the employers, they already have a basis to begin with. Employers want our residents to work for them. Whole Foods was a great example because not only did they hire our county residents out of our program to work for them at Whole Foods and the local one that was just built, but they wanted to hire our residents for regional Whole Foods programs to work out of our program. We're also dealing with obstacles that prevent people from getting jobs, like putting $50,000 into child care services for single parents who work, and need the assistance from the board. So we're doing so much to help people get and keep jobs here at the county.
Oh dear, now I knew it. I knew I'd get.
Oh, excuse me.
We're back to mine.
May I just say something for 15 seconds?
15 seconds?
Yeah, I think I can speak for Joe and Renee, as well as obviously myself. There's no objection really from our point of view for reasonable job economic development policies. But the point we're trying to make is that it's far more powerful an incentive for businesses to stay and to grow and to pay higher salaries if they've got a reasonable tax issue to deal with in Union County.
Mike, next question?
Actually, I'd like to talk to Mike. I'd like to follow up with a
Okay.
question. Perhaps it's my fault for having too lengthy of a question, but I'm not sure anybody actually addressed it. The question that I asked, and I'd like to repeat it because I feel it's important, is does the county or the Republicans, if elected, have any plans for supporting local municipal initiatives for mandatory paid time off, paid sick leave, paid maternity leave, and similar goals of that nature? I don't think anybody actually.
He's limiting the question to local and municipal government initiatives. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. No,
I
you're right.
understand that
You're
the
right. They
county
were
can't pass
addressing
these laws, but
private jobs, I think.
individual towns if they
All
want
right,
to.
Mr. Bonilla, you get to take a crack at the revised questions.
Okay. Can you give me the question one more time, please?
Does the county or the Republicans, if elected, have any plans for supporting local initiatives on a municipal level for mandatory paid time off, paid sick leave, paid maternity leave, or similar goals?
I'm sorry, I don't want to be confused, but you're talking about for municipal employees?
He's talking,
I'm talking
he
about
asked, does the
for all
county have
employees.
any
This is-
plans to support local governments, which can be school districts as well as municipal governments, in creating programs like that for their employees? Is that a fair restatement?
Yes.
Okay.
We're talking about public employees.
Public employees at the
strictly
local
public
level.
employees.
I'm sorry?
They're not strictly public employees, no.
See, okay.
All right, then
He's talking about private and public employees, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
oh, I see.
Okay. Well, for local, usually the municipalities have contract negotiations with teachers, officers, and anybody who really works. We have to build programs and support the local, and sick time and a lot of the programs right now in contracts, we have to actually look at the contract and see if it's actually a legal type of contract where there are certain sick time, like pregnancy, it falls under the New Jersey statutes of laws. And support for local, yes, I'd say we need to support local and renegotiate contracts as they come.
Okay. Mr. Fortunato.
No, I would not be in favor of that for two reasons. One, if Union County adopted those policies, we would drive business away from Union County. Merck, Lucent, whoever, all these other big companies that we have in Union County would say to themselves, geez, maybe I ought to move to Somerset or Morris that doesn't have these policies. Secondly, actually, I'm a believer, and I think Joe and Renee are too, the private sector should deal with those issues. If we have companies like Google, which I think we all know has a particularly good benefits of that kind of nature for their employees, they're going to attract better and better quality employees. Their business will run better. They'll be more profitable. The private sector, the marketplace, God forbid, capitalism, can drive those things forward without government mandating them. Certainly if government feels those things would be nice and would be good to have, wonderful. But in terms of mandating them, no, I don't think that's the role for county government.
Mr. Bergen?
I have some concerns. First of all, I'm not sure that the proposal that the county or the municipalities have the legal method by which to do that. So it's an interesting intellectual question, but from a practical standpoint, I have my doubts about whether that could be done. And I have to agree with Mr. Bonilla insofar as county employees, we have, I believe it's 23 labor unions representing our employees, and the process by which we arrive at contracts is through contract negotiations with those unions that represent their employees, and certainly we would have to go through that process in order to make any change for our own employees.
Mr. Dierkes?
I would have to agree with Bruce. I'm not sure if this is something legally that the Union County could do. Also, I would say to you, in walking around the towns, I heard a number of people, like for instance, when I was walking in Rahway, I heard a number of people express concern about the Rahway Stadium. When I was walking in Hillside, I heard a number of people complain about the roads. This issue has not come up. And I also heard the biggest complaint amongst most of the residents was that Union County was becoming anti-middle class. The taxes were going up substantially greater than their incomes. It was becoming harder and harder for them to afford to live here in Union County. And I think that's the issue Joe, Rich, and I would work on, is try to bring down taxes. That's the issue that I think most is affecting the county residents. Thank you.
Mr. Jallo?
Thank you. I must reiterate, I don't know that we have legal standing to deal with that issue, but I will say that, one of my initiatives this year that the Freeholder Board has allowed me to take the lead on is Families First initiatives. And Families First initiatives are dealing with the issues that affect families and allow them to be able to work in Union County and actually able to benefit from jobs and have education opportunities and to be able to work some of these jobs. And when it comes to these issues, I think that the Democratic Party is the party with the track record of caring about these issues that affect families instead of a knee-jerk or robotic response to just talk about money or just talk about taxes when there are actual issues that affect families that we have a track record of working towards and fixing for our residents so that they can benefit from the jobs that are available to our residents.
Thank you. Mr. Mirabella.
Yeah, so I'll just add a couple of comments in addition to what my colleagues on the Freeholder Board have mentioned. The county does offer paid vacation time and paid sick time. That's been collectively bargained and offered to employees to expand them. I think they're getting a fair benefits package from that perspective. I'm not looking to do that unless it's done during collective bargaining with our unions. And any other medical leave or maternity leave is all handled under the federal act. So, that's, I think, taken care of. For Mr. Dirks to say something about the Union County being anti-middle class, I haven't heard the Republican Party in helping the middle class in the same sentence in decades.
Okay.
You want to respond to that?
Can we respond? Or are we done?
I think we're done.
Yeah.
We've had two questions on this subject.
Mr. Mirabella.
Just to be clear, this is something that 10 cities in New Jersey have passed as a law for public and private companies, and it's something being considered in Elizabeth.
Mr. Mirabella, you are hearing the Republican Party helping the middle class in the same sentence tonight, because that's what we're advocating, trying to cut taxes. And secondly, in regards to these policies, again, they may be nice issues and they make us feel good, but you have to be careful about the unintended consequences of government forcing businesses to behave in a certain way.
Okay. Next question, Mike.
Sure. Are there services performed by the county that could be better performed by local or state government? If so, which ones? And the reverse, are there services on the local level that could be better performed by the county? And if so, which ones?
Oh, well, Mr. Fortunato.
Well, certainly the question of what services are performed at what level of government is frankly a key question that ought to be foremost in the mind of the freeholders whenever a proposal is presented to them. Clearly, there are services that need to be performed or are much better and more economically performed at the county level, the county jail system, large parks, the archery range, the riding stables. We used to have a skeet shooting and trap shooting range, but no longer. So SWAT teams, specialized EMS, special fire equipment, certainly those things need to be done at the county level because it makes far more sense than doing it in 21 different towns. On the other hand, we have a number, I know we do right in Scotch Plains, right near me, small park, I think people call them pocket parks. I don't see any particular reason why pocket parks ought to be managed or maintained or funded or have big signs in front of them about the Board of Freeholders. Those are local issues, and I'm sure that, again, anything the county government does, in my opinion, one of the first questions that ought to be asked is it appropriate for the county to even be doing it?
Mr. Bergen?
Thank you. I don't disagree with what was just said, and in fact, our county does do many of the things that my adversary mentioned. What else can and should the counties be doing? Our county has a vast array of shared services that we offer to our municipalities. Shared services at one time was thought to be between municipality and municipality. But I believe that the better way for shared services is for the county to offer a service to all of the municipalities. And in fact, we have a booklet, hundreds of shared services that we offer to all of our municipalities, running the gamut. One of the most important, I think, was mentioned already, and that's our EMS, at no cost to the municipalities, at no cost to the county. When a municipality's volunteer first aid squad cannot respond, there is a county EMS available to respond to that. Some might say ambulance service should be from a municipality, but the county offers it at a better price to all of the municipalities, no cost. That's the better price that there is. Thank you.
Mr. Dirks?
Obviously, I agree with my colleague, Rich. And one of the first things we would do is try to see if there was any way, if it was better for the county to do it or it was better for the municipalities to do it, and it ended up resulting in lower costs, we'd be very much in favor of that because we want to bring those taxes down. Now, I was, for 5 years, my town had asked me to be on the Rahway Valley Sewer Authority Board. And while I was there, I was the head of personnel. And we had to get a new executive director. And one of the first things I commissioned to do was see if there was ways that we could cut costs, but still maintain the same level of service. And he was able to do that. We went from a $14 million operating budget down to a $13 million operating budget without having any services cut. And believe me, if there was a differentiation in services, there would have been a big stink about it right away. Thank you.
Mr. Jallo?
Yes, well, that was a pretty in-depth question, I must say. The booklet that my colleague Freeholder Bergen shows you has about 150 shared services that the county provides for the municipalities. On a state level, the state is too vast and too big to deal with some of the issues that we have here in our various counties. And so a lot of the answer to that is to, as you see with some of the grants, like the UASI grant, is to regionalize the state so that we can benefit benefit or things can be appropriated properly. On a municipal level, the municipalities many times lack the resources or duplicate certain resources that the county can help by achieving or can utilize economies of scale to create more shared services for our residents. And one great example of that is our dispatch. Where we've been able to save municipalities money by working with the county's dispatch. And again, this is a perfect opportunity for us to potentially lower taxes in the municipalities.
Thank you. Mr. Mirabella?
Thank you. So county government has done a lot to help our local municipalities, and that's providing service that are too expensive to be carried out on a local level. It's not efficient for each town, for instance, to have a jail, to operate large parks, to do those kinds of things, maintain county roads. I mean, we've partnered very well, and shared services, I think, is the real highlight of that. In fact, I know that Union County is going out to each municipality through an economic response team and to talk about opportunities to even further shared services with our municipalities, to understand job opportunities that are there, to take advantage of what the county is offering. So I think, rather than eliminate county government, which is maybe the nature of the question, It's to probably put more to county government, to expand on a larger scale to help municipalities even more, whether it's in public safety through the sheriff's transport system, which keeps police officers on the streets and doesn't have them transporting back and forth to the county jail, to other initiatives as well.
Thank you. Mr. Bonilla.
Thank you. Like my colleague, Mr. Fortunato, was saying about shared services like jails and other entities. Some of them are redundancy. For example, I believe the county police, it's a redundancy of a police force. I believe they should be merged into the sheriff's department and made into a patrol division, the county police. Berrien County did it with 95 members. It was completed in March of 2015, and it will save taxpayers roughly around $200 million in about 20 years. We have a 73-member department, and I'm sure if they could do it with 95, we could certainly do it with 73 without any public safety concerns.
Thank you. All right. Patrick, I guess we're back to you.
Okay.
Can I make a rebuttal?
No, I think we don't need a rebuttal at this point.
In my 6 years as regional editor of Union County Local Source, I believe I can count on one hand the number of times the Freeholder Board has not voted unanimously. Do you believe, for the Democrats, do you believe that all your votes have been unanimously correct, or is there any particular vote that you would change if you could vote again? And for the Republicans, is there a particular moment you feel strongly that you would have voted in opposition to the Democrats? When and why?
Wow. This is going to test your memories, gentlemen. Mr. Bergen.
Thank you.
I don't think you really meant that.
No, I do, because I think it's a legitimate question.
Yep.
But I think it really goes to not much of a different point than the question concerning districting in the county for election of freeholders. The fact that there is a vote of 9-0 doesn't mean that there hasn't been discussion. Every resolution that comes onto our agenda is discussed by the Freeholder Board in an agenda-setting session. We have an opportunity to ask our department heads questions about each of those resolutions, and it certainly is not unheard of for a resolution to be pulled from an agenda if there are questions, or for it to be changed if there is not support for a particular vote. So I don't believe that there is a lack of discussion about issues on the Freeholder Board just because there's a 9-0 vote. And I would say that there are certainly votes that are not 9-0. And I can't think of anything in particular off the top of my head, but if our...
Thank you. Of course. That's good. Mr. Dierks?
The way I would approach this subject is this. I would look at it the same way families do. When a family sits down, they might need a new roof, they might need dental work, they might need new clothes, they might need a car. They all have needs. When it comes to spending on the county level, we also have needs on the county level. But what families do is they say, okay, this is our income, this is what we can spend. They wouldn't try to go higher than their income because eventually they'd go broke. But this is what the county is doing to us. We're spending more than what people are making. And that's not fair to them. So to answer the question, I would have voted against any type of spending increases that went higher than the rate of inflation.
Joe?
Yeah, well, first let me say that I'm very proud to be on a board that has, for the past 2 years, raised the tax levy has lower than it's been raised in the past 2 decades. All right. So the speaker who keeps commenting on the tax rate, really should take into account how taxes work in Union County. The entirety of your taxes are not the county taxes. The highest part of your taxes are the school board taxes, and then the municipal, and then the county taxes. And for the amount of taxes that amount of services that we provide, there's a lot that we do for our residents in that tax amount. In answer to that question, I think it's really swayed towards, it's easy for people to say that if, who aren't sitting in the hot seat, who don't have tough decisions to make, that I would vote against this or I wouldn't vote for that. I stand behind every decision that I made on the Freeholder Board, as I'm sure that my colleagues have as well. It took great deliberation in our committees, and if there's a problem with something that we have, there's no reason for it to be on the agenda.
Mr. Mirabella.
Yeah. So the way government works in Union County is we have committees, as the chairman mentioned, and we also have an agenda meeting where the directors come, present their resolutions that will be considered for vote the following week or 2 weeks, whenever the next business meeting is. And at that time, significant questions are posed to the directors, amongst the freeholders, between the directors and the freeholders, and any questions that people have are typically answered at that point, and they have a week to kind of figure out for themselves whether they're in favor of a certain resolution or not. As Chairman Jallo said, we don't put items on the agenda to vote against them. So I would ask Councilman Dirks, how many times has he voted no in the last year as a councilman from outside? I'll bet not too many, Councilman. So, I mean, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? Don't you think?
That seems like an unnecessarily personal comment, frankly.
And can I respond to that?
I prefer that we didn't hear any more of those.
Can I respond to that?
No. That's enough. Mr. Bonilla, you want to tackle the question?
Certainly. Like Mr. Dirk was saying, the taxes are high, the spending is high. We need to actually look at every angle of what the county is bringing in and also spending on. And with a budget of $500 million, it's ridiculous. Just like I would have voted no for the Rawway Park. Rawway Park, citizens have spoken. They know their community better than any of us, and spending that much money on there, citizens are what we're here for. We work for them. It's their money.
Thank you. Mr. Fortunato.
Yeah, I think I would have voted against last year's budget. The county sold Runnels for $26 million. Dropping Runnels off the books should have, as far as I could tell, took $24 million out of the operating budget. But nonetheless, spending by the county has overall only dropped by $13 million. So it hasn't yet been mentioned, so I guess I shouldn't have brought it up. But the budget did go down a little bit this year, but it did not go down anywhere near as much as it should have, given that Runnels dropped out. So what we really had was an increase in spending last year, despite what the numbers may look like on a nominal basis. So I would have voted against that. And the fact that we have 9-0 votes on the Freeholder Board, with all due respect, and I know every freeholder undoubtedly is happy with their vote and feels that they did the right thing, but that's sort of the point. I think Joe and I and Renee have a different viewpoint on the way the county should be operating and the way they should be spending money. And we think that we should be spending less money and perhaps as a result doing a little less activities, but because there's too much money being spent. Thank you.
Okay. And the next.
Can I respond to that? Or?
We have exactly one, maybe two more questions, and then
I think they've responded more than we have.
All right, you can
have
15.
I appreciate the fact that someone's finally acknowledged that spending has gone down at the county, finally, which seems to contradict everything that they've been saying thus far. I also would like to point out that, with regard to Runnels and the statements that that they've made with regard to Runnels, it just reflects a lack of understanding as to how we can utilize funding at the appropriate time. We cannot use that money.
That's it.
I'm sorry.
So can I respond then?
No, I think we're through with responses. We're going to have one more question, and then we're going to, because it's my understanding we have to end here and be out by 9. Is that correct? Okay. So who has the last question over there?
I guess it's me.
Okay.
I'll ask a nice broad question.
And Mr. Dirks, you're the first to answer.
Yeah, okay. So, right now we're going through a time of, on the national level, at least currently with polls and all this kind of stuff, a lot of strong anti-establishment fervor out there. We don't know what it's like in terms of the county or the state, but on the national level. So to the incumbents, I would ask, why do you think you should be reelected? And to the challengers, why do you think you should be chosen over the incumbents?
Okay, we start this one with Mr. Dirks.
The reason why I think I should be elected is because, one, I will be looking out for the citizens of Union County. And I will look out this way. I would put your interests first. I will think about the impact it will have on your family. Now, I've spoken to a lot of people going door to door. And when you hear some of the hardship stories, the hardship that these higher and higher taxes have created for these families, you understand the burden it's putting on them. So any decision that I would make, I would think about you first, you, the citizen. And I will listen to the citizens. I think I've done that with the Rahway Valley Sewer Authority. People were concerned about the way the Rahway Valley Sewer Authority was there. We brought down spending there by $1 million. I think we can bring down spending here at Union County also and bring taxes to a more reasonable level.
Thank you. Mr. Jallo.
Yes. Well, when I first became a member and was elected to the Board of Chosen Freeholders, we were facing a national and international recession. And at that time, we had to make very tough decisions and decisions that I'm very proud of to this day. And what we chose time and time again was to protect our residents from the full brunt of this economic recession, all right? Now, the question was stated about the national level, and I find it very interesting that the rhetoric today by the Republicans is in stark contradiction to the national rhetoric. We are the party that supports people. We're this party, and all of the initiatives that we did this year focus on families and making them better. I've been walking for 6 years door to door and talking to people and finding out what our residents need, and what we've done this year to invest back in Union County have been a reflection of the comments that we've gotten from each and every individual that we've spoken to from door to door to help families and help residents in Union County. That's what we do as Democrats.
Thank you. Mr. Mirabella.
So the reason I'm running for re-election is to revolve around certain themes. And it's been kind of what I've tried to bring to the Freeholder Board along with my colleagues, and it's about economic development, creating jobs, helping our economy in Union County, quality of life issues, parks, open space, the focus on preserving open space and historic preservation. It's about education, and Union County College, one of the best county colleges in the state of New Jersey. Our vocational schools ranked nationally. This is the focus that we've given on public safety. Crime is down 6% over the last 2 years. No small achievement, but with a county police department that's effective, partnering with our local police departments, with a prosecutor's office that does a terrific job, and a terrific sheriff who mobilizes his forces to help our county residents too. That's all important, and a focus that will remain for me, along with our help to senior citizens with senior scholars programs, Meals on Wheels, other kind of transport, paratransport, and our children to help them succeed.
Thank you.
That's why I'm running.
Mr. Bonilla.
Yes, I'm running because I'm here for the people, and I'm going to work for the people. I'm connected to you, not your wallet. And as Mr. Mirabella was saying about the crime being down 6, well, if you know, Elizabeth is number 7 in heroin addictions and selling. So they're number 7 in the state. So we need to do more, and the sheriff needs to step up. Even though the sheriff never been to a police academy, I'm here for the people. That's all I'm here for. I want to get taxes under control and the spending also under control.
Thank you. Mr. Fortunato.
Yeah, it was mentioned about the frustration at the national level. I can tell you from going out and meeting the voters, there is tremendous frustration in Union County among the voters with regard to the political establishment that has been running the county for the last 20 years. There just has been. Maybe the freeholders don't talk to the people who are frustrated, but they're out there, believe me. And with all due respect to Mr. Mirabella, he was elected in the mid-1990s, and he's one of the longest, maybe even the longest serving freeholder on the board at the moment, certainly the longest serving of the three running for re-election. So there is frustration out there, and the frustration revolves around the taxes that the people pay, and they really do expect the county to start to do its part to reduce those taxes. Sure, we have school boards and municipalities, but the county taxes in Scotch Plains, for instance, went up 4.7% this year. Just the county taxes. So there's great frustration out there, and it shows almost every door we knock on.
Okay. Mr. Bergen.
Thank you. I believe the voters in Union County should re-elect the Column B Democratic ticket for a number of reasons. First of all, we are responsible for the very good bond rating that our county has, among the top in the state. Moody's this year improved it, saying it was because improved outlook due to sound management and budgeting at the county. That's Moody's. That's an outside agency telling us that we've done well. We will push to have the state give back the funding to the counties and the municipalities that have been taken away over the last 6 years, that have forced municipalities to raise taxes, have forced the county to spend more money to do programs that used to be paid for by state money. It gets harder and harder to offer the same services when the state is cutting back on the money they give to school boards, to municipalities, and to the county. I've been in local government for 20 years. Before my term here on the Freeholder Board, I served 17 years as the attorney in Springfield. I know local government, as do my colleagues. We deserve to be reelected. Thank you.
Okay, everybody take a deep breath, relax for a second, and then you're going to have 2 minutes each to do an opening statement, and we may close 2 minutes before, by 1 minute before 9, which I think would make my colleague Marlene very happy. Mr. Jowell.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for taking the time to sponsor this event. I would also like to thank the public for coming and the members of the press for their participation. This has been an outstanding year for county government as we have made progress in many areas. The Democratic Freeholder team on Column B has implemented a plan that is creating jobs, investing in education, rebuilding our infrastructure, and stabilizing our finances. I'm proud of our record, and you can count on us to continue to support these endeavors for everyone, especially our most vulnerable residents. There's a great difference between what Democrats and Republicans believe. Just look at the rhetoric on a national level. We as Democrats believe that investing in our infrastructure is a necessity. We believe that a quality education for our children is a priority. And we also believe that maintaining the safety net for our most vulnerable residents is a must. We have a track record of success in those areas. And that's why this Democratic Freeholder Board has created an infrastructure matching grant program, created programs like Freeholder Scholars for our teens, college preparedness courses, and various programs for our seniors and our most vulnerable residents. On November 3rd, you have our pledge. This Freeholder team on Column B will continue to make these investments and keep Union County as one of the premier places to live in the state of New Jersey. I ask you to support our Freeholder team, starting with our clerk, Joanne Rajapi, Freeholder Al Mirabella, Bruce Bergen, myself, Mohammed Jallo. Thank you all.
Thank you. Mr. Mirabella.
Thank you. I would like to once again thank the League of Women Voters for inviting us here tonight, the members of the press for their participation, and the public here and watching on TV. You've heard from both sides tonight. Our priorities, our vision, the choice is very clear. We believe in providing quality government services that help working families and those in need. We believe in providing employment opportunities with the private sector that have placed our residents in those jobs. We believe in important shared services like dispatch and EMS that are saving lives and saving millions of dollars around our county. We believe in providing the youth alternatives and programs that make them productive citizens that we can all be proud of. Other than cutting a few things, we're not sure what our opponents stand for. They talk about the budget, but Councilman Dirks voted to raise the budget in Mountainside. So it's very disingenuous to sit there on one side what your actions are and then say what somebody else should have done or didn't do. The other candidates I have respect for, but have no experience and no real record to talk about. The Union County Democratic team on column B is moving Union County forward, investing in our communities, helping our seniors, making our streets safer. Because of our programs, we have an affordable education for children, we have a strong transportation network, and a high quality of life right here in Union County. We must continue the progress. On November 3rd, please support the column B Democratic team, County Clerk Joanne Rajapi, Chairman Mohammed Jallow, Vice Chairman Bruce Bergen, and myself, Al Mirabella. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Bonilla.
Yes, like I said before, I am not a career politician, and I know how it is to come up from being poor, coming from another country, coming here to living with nothing, and certainly having my own house now in Union, and hopefully to keep my house, being the third largest county property taxes in New Jersey. I'm going to try to keep living in Union. I'm here for the people. That's who I'm going to work for. I'm going to work diligently and without ceasing to see that taxes are under control, spending is under control. And myself and my colleagues, I want you to go out there, vote column A, because we are going to make a difference. This status quo has got to go. And if you leave here, when you leave here tonight, remember one thing, that's that we work for you. It's your money. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fortunato?
I think there's room for improvement here in Union County. Parts of the county have significantly higher unemployment rates than the rest of the state. As a county, we have an 11.1% poverty rate in this county. We have the 7th highest real estate taxes in the country. On the other hand, we have a dynamic population. We have great, hardworking, family-oriented people. We have a world-class international airport. We are next to a world-class port. We have major train lines. We also have a major road system, part of which is the interstate highway system instituted by none other than Dwight Eisenhower, a Republican. We also, we're in one of the greatest metropolitan areas in the world, so we have a lot going for us. But we're not taking advantage of that. For over 20 years, the Democratic county government has seemingly been more interested in political and partisan issues and their political friends and campaign contributors than in what's good for the county and the people of the county. That has to end. We need to stop the cycle of ever-increasing county taxes. We need to stop spending so much money. It seems as if the current Freeholder Board has never seen a proposal to spend money that they didn't like. The question ought to be, is it worth spending other people's money for that project? The question shouldn't be, which campaign contributor can get the benefits of this project? One-party rule is not and has not been good for Union County. No matter what your political party, at the county level, it should not be about politics. It should be about what is good for the county and its people. Renee, Joe, and I are not members of a political machine. We're on column A. Vote for Dirkes, Fortunato, and Bonilla. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Bergen.
Once again, I would like to thank the League of Women Voters for inviting us here tonight, as well as the media and the public for their participation. I've spent my entire life in Union County, and I love my community and the quality of life that we all enjoy. We need to continue to head in a positive direction, and now, more than ever, follow the plan that the column B Democratic Freeholder team has put into place. The other side says they're not politicians. We're not politicians. We're concerned citizens working hard for our families, our neighbors, and our friends across the county. At the end of the night, it all boils down to some very basic questions. Who will stand up better for the needs of the working families and all Union County residents? And who has demonstrated a plan that will keep us going in the right direction? The Democrats on column B have put in place programs that are helping to improve educational opportunities, keep Union County safe, cut costs through shared services, and keep Union County's economy moving forward. For the second year in a row, Union County experienced one of the highest wage increases of any large county in America, ranking within the top 20 counties nationally and second in New Jersey. Our investments in Union County's workforce are assisting our residents to achieve higher wage increases as the economy has improved. The freeholders have worked to foster a climate that encourages employment growth, productivity, and sustainability. Our opponents have raised taxes in almost every answer, regardless of the question, but they have not put forth even one solid idea about how they are going to cut taxes. None of them had attended any of the county budget hearings this year, or for that matter, any freeholder meeting. Maybe if they had, they could have an idea. Thank you very much. Please support column B.
Thank you. Mr. Dirks?
Yes, thank you. They would like you to focus on the national Republicans because they certainly don't want you to focus on what's happening locally. They don't want you to focus that our taxes have gotten way out of control, that they're going up substantially higher than the rate of inflation. The second thing Al has pointed out a couple of times, he keeps pointing it out, and I feel like I have to respond to this. He keeps talking about the one time or two times that I raised taxes in Mountainside. The first one was for snow removal, which of course I didn't have any control over. We had an excess amount of snow. The second one was for the Occidental lawsuit, which hit a number of municipalities. It was something that happened back in the 60s or 70s. I don't even remember the year, but it was a long time ago. Now, today, or let me start off with 20 years ago, if you went to buy a home in Union County, people would ask, what's the mortgage going to be? What's the mortgage payment, the monthly mortgage payment? Today, when people go to buy a home, they're asking, what's the monthly tax rate going to be? Well, how much do I'm going to have to pay in taxes every single month? And furthermore, how much will I have to pay 5 years from now? They're worried about that. I was speaking to a woman in Linden. She had lived there for 40 years. She is moving. She's a senior citizen. She's moving. She wanted to stay in Linden. She wanted to see her grandchildren grow up in the house that her children grew up in. But she's moving because she can't afford the taxes. She said the taxes on her house were $11,500. She said she had sold that home. But when the new buyers found out how much the taxes were and how much those taxes have increased over the last few years, the buyer backed out of the deal. This is what's hurting Union County. Our taxes are going up far greater than our incomes, and that is unsustainable. They have to figure out a way to cut taxes. We will do it. Myself, Rich, and Joe, we will figure out a way to bring taxes to a more normal level. On November 3rd, you have a choice. You can go to a choice of having reasonable taxes and reasonable government. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all very much.